Over the past 2 years, my partner, Melissa Van Oss, who you see on the screen, and I have been speaking to colleges and university administrators and students. And this is what we heard. What we heard was a lot of people come on to high schools and colleges and they talk at the students, but very few speak with the students. So we decided we want to talk to the future leaders of America. So we created an innovative podcast that's going to spotlight high school and college students, giving them this unique platform so they can share their personal stories, their aspirations, their achievements, and their goals. Now, each episode features engaging mix of fun questions, thoughtful questions, and we want to see what they want to do with the future. Where do they see it going? It's carefully crafted to make the student the star of the show. So we're not talking at her. She's going to be talking to us. All right. Our first future leader is Zy'Asia Belser. So Zy'Asia, welcome to Rising Voices.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And we are honored that you are kicking us off as our first inaugural student here on Rising Voices. So with that being said, can you please tell us and our audience a bit more about you? Tell us a bit more about where you grew up, what high school that you're going to right now. Give us a little backstory, if you will, about you and where you came from.
Okay, so like they said, my name is Zy'Asia Belser. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior at Carver High School. I was born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. I've been here my whole life. I think it's a city that is enriched in history, and that's one of the things I do like about my city. It has a lot of history behind it, and I aspire to be a civil rights attorney.
Love that. So definitely you would say where you grew up is definitely impacting where you want to go in the future.
It has, because buildings downtown Montgomery, they hold a lot of history. The riverfront, it holds a lot of history. The Legacy Museum, it holds a lot of history. So it kind of makes it near and dear to my heart, since I'm right in the places where history was created.
Exactly. I love that. And being that you've already been studying through, your surroundings, history, and these important leaders and things that they had to rise up from themselves, would you mind sharing a little bit with us about perhaps a time where there's an obstacle or something that you've had to overcome and rise up from so far during your educational journey?
I would say that something I had to deal with was the passing of my mother, because she was my chief support system. Um, I it took a toll on me for a little bit of time, but then I realized, like, my mom, she was an inspiration to me. She was a role model for me, and that kind of made me snap back into it. I went back to school, and I had all these goals and aspirations for myself. I now want to graduate top of my class, and I do everything to make her proud.
Wonderful.
Outstanding. Zy'Asia, we all have people that have helped us or guided us or we look to for inspiration. Do you have a friend and or a teacher who was a model or a mentor for you? What did they do to help you?
A friend that has been a role model to me, her name is Trinity. Trinity graduated in the class of 2024, and what made her become a role model to me was I seen someone from my city who I actually knew had physical contact with. I seen her get accepted into all these schools and win all these awards, and seeing her win these scholarships and get accepted into all these schools, it made me see that everything that I want to achieve for myself is attainable, because someone who was around my age group, she was able to achieve everything that she wanted to do.
What about a teacher?
A teacher that has helped me a lot throughout my high school journey has been my teacher, Mrs. Rafe. She was my environmental science teacher and my forensic science teacher. Any way that she could help me. I remember that I invited her one day to A voting panel I was on. I was the youngest member to serve on a voting panel, and she showed up on the school night to come and support me. And as I'm a senior and she always sends me scholarship applications, she let me know when it's free application week for certain colleges. Actually, today, I sat in her classroom and she helped me apply to the University of Alabama and Alabama A&M.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
We all need that. I'm impressed with the classes you're taking. Like, I didn't know when Melissa and I went to school, we didn't even know what forensic science was.
No,
It's
that was
cool.
being invented. Not to age ourselves or anything. Time machine moment there. But speaking of colleges and your next steps moving forward, I know that there are probably some institutions that you're planning to apply to. Can you tell us a little bit more about those top ones and a little bit more about why you think that they should, why you like them, and then a little bit more about why you are the best candidate for them and they have to pick you for their incoming freshman class?
Okay, so my top three schools are Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, Spelman College, and Howard University. I chose all three of these schools because they are HBCUs, but FAMU and Howard, they are HBCUs with law school, so I know that they will put me on the law track. Now, I was able to tour Spelman College with an organization I am in, Upward Bound Math and Science. And once I toured the school, I fell in love with the sisterhood that was there. The campus was just so pretty to me, and I was like, this is definitely somewhere I could see myself attending.
Wow. Spillman is a wonderful school. One of my cousins is at school there, and she loves it. She just thinks it's wonderful.
Awesome.
And Howard has a pretty interesting alumni.
Yeah, it does.
So
Yeah, right up the
wish you the
street from where
best.
I am.
So at this point, what are you hoping to major in? And is there any particular reason why you want to major in it?
My major at the moment, I want to study political science because after doing some research about what does it take to become a lawyer, I saw that I needed to have a bachelor's degree. So I was wondering what should I have that bachelor's degree in? And when I searched it on Google, a lot of websites were saying political science.
And well, at least you will learn the process. Political science was very good, outstanding. Plus, you have to read a great deal and learn a lot about what happened and why it happened, and then what you can do to make it better. Okay.
Exactly. And so those analytical skills are coming in handy every step of the way, right? And I would love you to share a little bit more about how being in the Upward Bound program and also being that you are a first generation college student, how have being in these various programs to support being the first generation student really helped guide you and prepare you as you are beginning to take this next step in your journey?
I feel like with my Upward Bound Math and Science family, I have a lot of support. This program has opened my eyes to a world beyond high school. Like I said, I was able to tour Spelman College with them, but I was also able to tour FAMU with them. And now we now have workshops where they come to our school every Tuesday. They give us tools that we will need when it comes to college. Our last session, we talked about how to save and pay for college. And I remember my coordinator, she came in and she told us about how we're going to have a night where we're going to take all the seniors and we're going to apply for the FAFSA as well as the Pell Grants. So I really appreciate my UBMS family because I know that outside of my school counselors and my teachers, I also have extra support.
That's amazing, because I had two daughters that went to college, and doing the FAFSA thing just drove me crazy. I was sitting there screaming at the computer constantly. That's wonderful that they're helping you walk through that and making you familiar. Because when you're first generation student, which Melissa and I both are, you get there and your eyes are like, oh my God, what's going on here? What do I do?
Right.
So I appreciate what these people like Dr. Pickard is doing with you and for you. Let's have a fun question here, Asia. If you could have dinner with anybody, any historical figure, who would you do it and why?
I would have dinner with Fred Hampton because I was in a book club for about a year, and the woman who ran the book club, she said that we're going to read this book about Fred Hampton, and it intrigued me because I realized after reading and during reading that he was the chairman of the Chicago Black Panther Party. And it intrigued me because this isn't something that we learn about in school. We have Black History Month, in February, but the Black Panther Party is not a topic that we touch on in school. So I thought it was a little weird because the Black Panther Party, they came about with the breakfast programs, and that's something that we now have in schools. So I was thinking if I had dinner with him, I would want to know how was it knowing that people were against him and he still had to be strong and lead all these people. I would want to know what qualities he would say is to have to be a good leader. And I would also want to know how did he manage knowing that people wanted him to fail? How did he get up every morning knowing people opposed him and didn't believe in what he believed in? I think that's what I would ask him.
You're going to learn a lot about that in political science because I think President Truman one time said, if you're in Washington and you're in politics and you want a friend, get a dog.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise you got to keep looking around. But I think that's so insightful and enlightening and just shows the type of analytical and questioning and curious mind that you possess, being that you're so young and already being in a book club. Most adults, after they're required to read, don't read in book clubs or, a book. So that's very commendable, number one. But number two, that you've taken it upon yourself to find out that extra information and then utilizing now to even have this dialogue, to think about these things in such a way that's definitely very kind of an aligning with how you're setting yourself for that future next step and those opportunities for yourself. Okay, so let's peel back the curtain a little bit more. Fun curtain. Okay, so we've been talking about analytical Zy'Asia and very all determined and all these goals about yourself. So tell us something that not a lot of people know about you.
Not a lot of people know that I like old school R&B music. I'm a huge fan of Luther Vandross. I love his music, and I think it's not very common for teenagers my age to like that kind of music, but it's something that I grew up listening to with my mom and my grandma, and it still stays with me now.
Good choices.
I love that. Yeah,
Great
that's
artists.
good.
Great artists.
Can't go wrong.
All right, let's take another look at your personality here. Let's say today you win $20 million lottery.
Right.
What are you going to do with the money?
The first thing I would do, I would put some aside for school because I know that school, it isn't cheap. So I know that I'll probably need to set some money aside to get my bachelor's degree and also some money for law school. And whatever money I have saved over, of course, I will buy myself nice things, but I will also I will also save a little money. And then I will also give back to my family because I have to show them how much I appreciate them for being here with me through all my accomplishments and being my support system when I've had rough days and things of that sort.
That's outstanding. And the schools that you send us to, and to all the schools will get an application from Zy'Asia. Listen to that. Listen to that right there. Because how many 17-year-olds are cognizant enough to know the importance of education and would take that and set it aside? Most of them would be taking a trip to Fiji.
Yeah, like 10 times and every designer thing everywhere you look and all of it. So that's great. You're investing in yourself and your future and that knowledge, right? That's priceless what you'll be able to utilize that for in your future endeavors. So with that being said, is there any advice that you would potentially like to share with future students that would stumble across this podcast or others in the world out here? What advice would you give others that might be listening to this about success or your accomplishments or whatever you want to share about?
Okay, so for students, I would tell them to never procrastinate and always store friendly relationships with your teachers or professors, because at the end of the day, those are the people who are going to be writing your letter of recommendation letters and are who going to be recommending you to other people. To not procrastinate, because teachers like students who are on their work and ask many questions. So always be that student who has their hand raised, always asking a question about something that they don't understand. And for people in general, I just want them to know, in a world that you can be anything, be kind, because you never know what someone is going through. Someone could have a smile on their face and they could be feeling a whole nother way inside. So I would always say, greet everyone with a smile. Just be kind.
That's so impressive. So
Thank you.
impressive.
Very. I mean, I'm voting for Zy'Asia in the election. We're gonna see great things coming from you. I know this.
Thank you.
How can people reach you? If you want people to reach you, how can they reach you?
They can reach me through my email. My email is Zy'Belser, Zybelser 2007 @gmail.com.
We've got that, and we'll put that in when this goes live.
Okay.
So we are just about out of time. I want to thank our first guest in this program, Zy'Asia Belser, for sharing. This is a very, very impressive young woman. Her credentials, her goals, and you can see, as Melissa and I travel around the country, we meet people like Zy'Asia, our country's in good hands. The future is in good hands. And whatever college she chooses to go to, we'll be lucky to have her. Now, you can see this podcast on my YouTube channel, which is called Life Altering Events. It'll also be on the parade deck, and we will send it to Zy'Asia, and she will post it wherever she likes to. And Dr. Picard will send it to you, and you can post it anywhere you want to. All right, let me leave you with this. None of us are in this alone. And the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And for all the young people out there today, Zy'Asia showed us where many of those rocks are. Join us again next week when we discuss another rising voice.